Welcome to Power the Palate, National Virtual Cocktail Competition presented by Black Restaurant Week in partnership with Maker's Mark. Thank you to everyone for joining us for this Make Your Mark Monday happy hour. I'm Warren Luckett, founder of Black Restaurant Week. 16 started and 8 remain as we move on to our Elite 8. Today we will watch the top 4 bartenders from the Central and West region battle live in a category we call the Corner Store Challenge. The cities include Houston, the Bay, Chicago, and Kansas City. We will advance the 2 best bartenders, one selected by our special judges panel, and the other from you, the people, which is your vote. Those 2 bartenders will then advance to the next round of the National Bracket Competition for a chance to win $5K from Black Restaurant Week. Today's Corner Store Challenge will test the bartender's ability to make a cocktail with ingredients found at your local corner store or bodega. Each contestant will have up to 5 minutes to perform a live demonstration of their cocktail. After the bartenders have built their cocktails, the judges will ask them a series of questions to see just how corner store friendly their cocktails really are. Each contestant will be judged on the following: name and inspiration, creativity, palate, drink presentation, style and personality. Today's special judges include Tasha Cyril, the owner and beverage director of the beautiful apartment 4B and Miss Icy's Kitchen restaurant in Atlanta. Chef Tiffany, a chef to the stars, having cooked for clients such as Beyonce and Steve Harvey. And Tony Castillo, a Maker's Mark diplomat from Texas and Oklahoma. Now here's how today's competition will work. Our top 4 bartenders are joining us on Zoom today, where they will each make their signature cocktail. Our judges are going to taste an exact replica of that cocktail right here at the James Room. They'll be made by our resident bartender, Will. After tasting the cocktail, the judges will interview the contestant, offer feedback about the recipe and presentation, and finally assign each bartender a score. So let's get started. Our first bartender is from the 713. Everyone say hello to Ed Warner.
My name is Ed Warner. I'm repping Houston because it's the best city on the planet. I was really excited about this challenge. So as you see, I got a bunch of snacks and everything, things that you would get in a convenience store, and I wanted to do something that if I had to, I could do it in the parking lot. So to start my cocktail, what I'm gonna be doing is a Sour Patch Sour. So I went, and my favorite Sour Patch Kids is the Sour Patch Tropical. And the beauty of this cocktail is that it can have a gazillion flavor profiles. So I'm gonna randomly take about 10 Sour Patch Kids and put them in a shaker. I even got some convenience store lemon juice, which, to be perfectly honest, is usually god awful, but I use about 1 ounce in my cocktail. But for this step, I'm only gonna use a ½ ounce onto the Sour Patch Kids. And I use 1.5 ounces of Maker's Mark, but I'm using a ½ ounce for to give my Sour Patch Kids a little bath. I'm gonna muddle these bad boys up as much as I can. Well, after you get a good muddle on that, this is the labor-intensive part of this. For the flavors to actually saturate into the cocktail, I put this aside and let it sit for 3 or 4 minutes. I'm gonna start building my sour now. I'm gonna start with an egg white, because this does turn out to be a classic sour. I'm gonna add the other 1.5 ounces of Maker's Mark, straight Kentucky bourbon, and the other ½ ounce of my lemon juice. And then, even though you have sweetness with the candy, I'm adding about 3/4 ounces, half to 3/4 ounce of simple syrup, just to cut the citric and absorbic acid that is coating the Sour Patch Kids. Make it a little more balanced. I'm gonna do a dry shake. Then add some ice to my shaker. And then single strain it over the ice. And garnish it by dropping the kids off at the pool. Damn. A Maker's Mark Sour Patch Sour.
Ed, this is Chef Tiffany from Houston, Texas. First of all, I'm not gonna play favorites on this thing because I'm just not, but as a girl that's from Houston, Texas, I appreciated this because it reminds me of the corner store. I didn't like Sour Patch Kids when I was little. Like I didn't understand, the sourness of it, but for a cocktail, when you started talking about the absorbic acid and things like that, those are the things that jump out at me because you understand lemon, you understand citrus, and that's just another big play on that. So I'm just proud of your knowledge of balance and how to balance a cocktail.
I love Sour Patch Kids. Growing up, right now, I bought a bag last week. I would never really think of using Sour Patch Kids in a cocktail. So I was pleasantly surprised actually with even how, and I guess because your understanding of citrus and how to balance things, it worked out very well. I would have liked to see more complexity as far as flavors outside of the Sour Patch Kids, but they actually did work out pretty well, surprisingly. I didn't expect it to be as balanced as it is, considering it's just candy, the whiskey, and citrus. So I'm not mad at it.
So Ed, quick question, this is Tony. I was wondering, why did you not go with a full-on syrup for the Sour Patch Kids versus doing a almost like on the side syrup?
I'm gonna tell you because I took the challenge literally. I could have made a dope ass syrup. I mean, that's my wheelhouse. But this is a challenge. And the challenge is to take a bag of candy and turn it into a cocktail. A challenge standpoint, I think it's more of a challenge to do a 3-minute infusion than a 20-minute syrup. But when you're in the Elite 8, you ain't trying to be easy. You're trying to be different. You're trying to be original. You're trying to be creative. You're trying to show your skills. And that's why I did it the way I did it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, bartender, for doing my thing for me.
Moving on to our next contestant from Chicago, everyone say hello to Nigel Van.
Oh, hey. Welcome to my bodega. I'm Nigel. Yeah, I actually own this place, and I'm so happy that you're here because this is opening day. So thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting Black businesses. Let me know if you have any questions, if you need anything, okay? Oh, you have a grocery list? Oh, let me see it. Let's see, brown sugar, apricot preserves, heavy cream, with cider. You have to be making malva pudding. You're not making malva pudding? You've never even heard of malva pudding? Oh, you're in for a treat. So malva pudding is like a delicacy in South Africa. It's like a sponge cake meets bread pudding, but there's caramel, a little bit of apricot, there's brown butter in there, and it's delicious. It's everywhere. It's like what Americans would be like with apple pie, but they have malva pudding. Oh, you also have makers on here. Love makers. In fact, it's the only thing that we carry on our bar here. You know what? I have an idea. You've never had malva pudding, and you like makers. Do you have time for a cocktail? Perfect. I just need to see your ID. Wow, I would not have guessed. Nice. All right, if you trust me, let's just make up something. I think I have the perfect thing for you. Let's do a whiskey flip. I think that would be great. So let's start off with an 8. Boom. All right, let's see. So you have to have a little bit of Angostura bitters if you're gonna do a whiskey flip. So let's just do 2 dashes of that. That's gonna give it some nutmeg spices. That'd be perfect for this because there's a lot of spices that go in with that apricot. It pairs nice. So with the flip, it's all about texture. It's all creamy. So let's add a little bit of heavy cream in there. We'll do a 1/4 ounce. 1/4 ounce of cream. I got some apple cider. I know that sounds weird, but I think that would be great because that apple cider, we're not gonna put any citrus in here, but that cider, that acid is gonna cut everything and kind of make it mesh perfect. We'll do, you don't need too much. But I think just a 1/4 ounce would work perfect. So we got our cream, a little bit of cider. I've been also working on this new Demerara, so it's brown sugar with a little bit of brown butter. So what I did is I browned it to make sure it was salted, because I think that salt really brings out the freshness and like the other flavors that you're gonna have, especially in this cocktail. But I browned the butter, added demerara, and made a nice syrup to that. Just like skimmed the top off of it. So we'll do a whole ounce. This is gonna give it a nice texture too. So like again, with whiskey flips, it's not about the taste, it's not about the look. It's very rich and voluminous, and I love that. You got the apricot first, so let's throw that in there. So let's just do a bar spoon. I love the preserves because you actually have like the pieces of the fruit in there. So it gives you something to chew on. And the whiskey, of course. So I think the Sioux Baker is just this iconic one. So it's 90 proof. I think it's perfect to sip on by itself.